Imagine a country so meticulously planned, so famously clean, that it's often dismissed as a sterile utopia, a city with no soul. A place where rules are everything, where even chewing gum is an outlaw. This is the postcard image of Singapore, a polished, predictable, and perhaps a little boring. But what if that perfection is a mask? What if, beneath the gleaming surfaces and orderly streets, lies a story of audacious survival, radical social experiments, and a constant, quiet struggle for identity? What if this city-state isn't soulless, but has a soul so complex, it had to build a fortress around it? Forget the tourist trail. Today, we're not just visiting Singapore, we are peeling back its layers to understand the paradoxes that define one of the most successful and controversial nations on Earth. To understand Singapore, you first have to grasp its fundamental vulnerability. Look at a world map. It's a tiny red dot, a speck in the vastness of Southeast Asia. With a total land area of around 734 square kilometers, you could fit it into New York City. The original video mentioned it's one of the 20 smallest countries. But that statistic doesn't capture the sheer existential challenge this represents. A nation with no natural resources, no agricultural heartland, and not even enough fresh water to sustain itself. Its only real asset was its strategic location on a major shipping lane. The birth of modern Singapore was not a moment of triumphant revolution, but one of profound trauma. On August 9, 1965, after a brief and tumultuous union, Singapore was expelled from the Malaysian Federation. The split was driven by deep-seated political and racial conflicts, primarily between the Malay-centric federal government and Singapore's Chinese-majority leadership. When announcing the separation on national television, its founding father and first Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew, broke down and wept. This wasn't just political theater, it was the raw despair of a leader handed a nation that, by all logical measures, was destined to fail. It was an accidental country, a third-world port city rife with ethnic tensions, poor sanitation, crippling unemployment, and surrounded by neighbors who were, at best, skeptical of its survival. So, how do you build a nation from nothing? You start a war against geography itself. Singapore's gleaming skyline and lush greenery are not natural. They are feats of engineering born from desperation. Since independence, the country has expanded its landmass by nearly 25% through a colossal, ongoing project of land reclamation. This isn't a simple matter of dumping soil into the sea. Every grain of sand for this expansion has to be imported, a constant, costly reminder of their physical limitations. For years, they bought it from neighboring countries like Indonesia and Malaysia, until those nations, realizing the strategic implications, banned its export. Now, Singapore has to source sand from more distant locations and invest heavily in developing sand alternatives, a perfect metaphor for its endless quest for self-sufficiency. They are literally building their future on borrowed, and now, manufactured ground. This battle for space defines everyday life. Notice the endless towers stretching towards the sky. That's not just a preference for high-rise living, it's a necessity. And it leads us to one of the most profound social experiments in modern history, the HDB flat. The original video mentioned soaring property prices, but it missed the revolutionary solution that houses the vast majority of the population. Over 80% of Singaporeans don't live in the multi-million-dollar private condos you see in magazines. They live in public housing built by the Housing and Development Board, or HDB. But these are not the grim, concrete blocks you might imagine from other parts of the world. They are meticulously planned towns within a city, with their own markets, schools, parks, and transport hubs. For most Singaporeans, getting a new, subsidized flat through the build-to orders BTO system is a major life milestone. Owning an HDB flat, even though it's on a 99-year lease, is a cornerstone of the Singaporean dream, a government-subsidized stake in the nation's success. Look closer, though, and you'll find another layer of brilliant and slightly unsettling control. The HDB is also an instrument of social engineering. The Ethnic Integration Policy, or EIP, mandates a specific racial quota for every block, mirroring the national demographics. This means a block cannot become, for example, 95% Chinese or 80% Malay. This policy was designed to prevent the formation of ethnic ghettos, which were a source of riots and instability in the country's early years. It forces communities of Chinese, Malay, and Indian descent to live side by side, sharing lifts and corridors, their children playing in the same playgrounds. It's a deliberate strategy to forge a national identity out of a disparate population. And what about the green? Singapore's transformation into a city in a garden is another calculated move from Lee Kuan Yew's playbook. He famously declared his vision was to create a first world oasis in a third world region. The lush foliage, the stunning gardens by the bay, the park connector network weaving through the city. This isn't just for aesthetics. It's a declaration, a statement that even on this tiny, crowded island, they can manufacture paradise. It's a psychological buffer against the claustrophobia of urban density, a testament to their ability to control and perfect their environment. This garden city is an illusion, but it's a beautiful, functional, and necessary one. This constant struggle against physical limitations forged a unique national psyche, one of pragmatism, paranoia, and a fierce will to survive. This is most visible in its defense strategy. The original video correctly states that Singapore is a top 5 global arms importer, a fact that seems completely at odds with its peaceful reputation. Why would such a small, stable country need such a massive arsenal? The answer lies in a powerful and chilling concept, the poisonous shrimp doctrine. The idea isn't to be a shark that can dominate the ocean. The goal is to be a shrimp so toxic that any larger fish that tries to swallow it will die in the process. It's a strategy of deterrence, not aggression. For Singapore, a small, prosperous, Chinese majority nation located in the heart of a predominantly Malay, Muslim region, being small and rich is a dangerous combination. The only way to guarantee its sovereignty is to make the cost of an attack unacceptably high for any potential aggressor. This explains the relentless investment in cutting-edge military technology, advanced fighter jets, submarines, and some of the most sophisticated cyber warfare capabilities in the world. But this doctrine is just one part of a larger national philosophy called total defense. This concept posits that defense is not just the military's job. It's a whole of society effort with 5 pillars. Military defense is the poisonous shrimp. Civil defense involves the populace being ready for emergencies. Economic defense means having a resilient, diversified economy that can withstand external shocks. Social defense is about citizens living harmoniously together, regardless of race or religion, to prevent internal fractures that an enemy could exploit. And finally, psychological defense is about citizens having a sense of patriotism and the will to defend their country. This all-encompassing ideology is drilled into every citizen from a young age. But technology and ideology are only half the equation. The other half is human. As the original video mentioned, military service is compulsory for all male citizens. For 2 years, they serve in the armed forces, followed by annual reservist training, until the age of 40. But to see this merely as a defense requirement is to miss its deeper social significance. National service, or NS, is arguably the most important shared experience for Singaporean men. It's a powerful social leveler. The son of a millionaire and the son of a taxi driver sleep in the same bunk on the training island of Pulau Tekong, eat the same food from the same mess hall, and endure the same grueling training under the hot sun. They learn to depend on each other, regardless of race, religion, or social class. In a country built from immigrant communities, NS is the crucible where a common Singaporean identity is forged. It's a rite of passage, a social glue that binds the nation together. The day a recruit finishes his full-time service, or RDs, operationally ready daily, is a moment of immense pride. But the commitment doesn't end. It becomes a lifelong duty, a constant reminder that the nation's survival rests on their shoulders. This survivalist mindset has shaped Singapore's entire social contract. It's a pragmatic, often ruthless, bargain in exchange for stability, security, and prosperity. Citizens accept a significant level of state control over their lives. This is where the image of the fine city comes from, a place famous for its fines for everything from littering to not flushing a public toilet, as the original video pointed out. The most infamous example, of course, is the ban on chewing gum. To outsiders, it seems absurd, a symbol of an overbearing nanny state. But to understand it, you have to understand the philosophy behind it. In the 1980s, vandals were using gum to jam the sensors on the doors of the brand new mass rapid transit (MRT) train system, causing massive disruptions and costing a fortune in repairs. For the government, the MRT was not just public transport, it was a symbol of national progress, a vital artery for the city. The actions of a few were threatening the functioning of a system that served the many. The solution was typically Singaporean, decisive, unsentimental, and absolute. The ban wasn't primarily about public cleanliness, it was about protecting a critical public good. The collective good trumps individual impulse. It's a philosophy that underpins countless policies here. This philosophy finds its harshest expression in the legal system. The original video correctly identifies caning as a form of judicial punishment. It's not a historical relic, it's actively used for a range of crimes, from vandalism and drug trafficking to visa overstaying. The process is clinical and brutal. After a medical check, to ensure the offender can withstand it, they are strapped to a wooden trestle. A trained officer, skilled in a near martial art form, strikes the offender's bare buttocks with a long rattan cane that has been soaked to prevent it from splitting. The goal is to inflict maximum pain and break the skin, leaving permanent scars. The practice became globally infamous in 1994 with the case of Michael Fay, an American teenager sentenced to caning for vandalizing cars. The case sparked an international outcry, with President Bill Clinton making a diplomatic plea for clemency. The Singaporean government was unmoved. They slightly reduced the number of strokes from 6 to 4, but carried out the sentence. The incident broadcasted a clear, defiant message to the world in Singapore: the law applies to everyone, and our social order is non-negotiable. For its supporters, caning is a powerful deterrent that keeps crime rates exceptionally low. For its critics, it's a barbaric violation of human rights. But for Singapore, it's a stark, physical manifestation of its social contract. It's the price of order. And this control extends to the press and public discourse, with strong laws against fake news and strict limits on public assembly, all justified under the umbrella of maintaining social harmony and stability. This drive for order and control fuels the nation's economic engine. But there's a cultural element at play here, a word that is key to understanding the Singaporean psyche: kiasu. It's a Hokkien term that roughly translates to the fear of losing out. It's more than just being competitive. It's an all-consuming anxiety about being left behind, a deep-seated insecurity that even one misstep could lead to failure. Kiasu is why people queue for hours for the latest food craze or a limited edition Hello Kitty doll. It's why parents enroll their children in an endless cycle of tuition classes, a reality behind the story of the 7-year-old chemistry prodigy mentioned in the original video. That achievement isn't just a tale of individual genius. It's a reflection of a hyper-competitive educational system where excellence is not just encouraged, but demanded. It's why, as the video notes, Singaporeans are the fastest walkers on the planet. They aren't just in a hurry, they are driven by an innate urgency to get ahead, to optimize every minute, to not waste a single second. Kiasu is the invisible engine driving the city forward at a breakneck pace. The results of this drive are staggering. The original video cited a 2011 statistic that 1 in 6 households were millionaires. The latest reports from 2023 show this concentration of wealth is even more pronounced. Singapore now has one of the highest densities of millionaires in the world. This is no accident. It's the result of decades of pro-business policies, low corporate taxes, and a stable political environment that have made it a magnet for global capital and talent. The Economic Development Board, EDB, has masterfully steered the economy from a low-cost manufacturing hub in the 70s and 80s to a financial services powerhouse, and now towards a high-tech, knowledge-based economy focused on biotech, fintech, and artificial intelligence. But this relentless pursuit of wealth creates its own paradox. In a nation where 1 in 6 might be a millionaire, what about the other 5? Wealth disparity is a serious and growing concern, with a Gini coefficient that is among the highest for developed nations. For every story of a tech millionaire, there is the reality of the elderly poor, known as cardboard aunties and uncles, who spend their days collecting cardboard and cans to earn a few dollars. There's the sandwich generation, struggling to support both their aging parents and their own children in one of the world's most expensive cities. The government is acutely aware of this. The HDB housing program and the Central Provident Fund (CPF), a compulsory savings scheme, are major tools to prevent a permanent underclass. But the tension between being a hyper-capitalist global hub and a society that takes care of all its citizens is perhaps the greatest challenge Singapore faces today. So, after all this talk of control, survival, and relentless ambition, we return to our original question: does Singapore have a soul? The answer is a resounding yes, but it's not the kind you find by accident. Like everything else here, it has been deliberately cultivated and fiercely protected. The soul of Singapore is found in its multiculturalism. It's easy to say a country is diverse. It's another thing entirely to make it work. As we saw with the HDB's ethnic quotas, racial harmony in Singapore is not left to chance. It's engineered. The public holidays reflect this. The state officially celebrates Chinese New Year, the Muslim festival of Hari Raya Puasa, the Hindu festival of Deepavali, and Christian holidays like Christmas and Good Friday. It's a constant, visible reinforcement of the CIMO model: Chinese, Malay, Indian, others. The 4 pillars of its society. And the best place to experience this soul is not in a museum, but in a hawker center. These bustling, open-air food courts are the true heart of the nation, and have been recognized by UNESCO as hubs of intangible cultural heritage. Here, under fluorescent lights and the whir of ceiling fans, you can experience a symphony of sounds and smells: the clang of a wok, the rhythmic chop of a butcher's knife, the sizzle of satay on a grill, the fragrant aroma of coconut and spices. A hawker center is the nation's dining room, a place where people from all walks of life, bankers in suits, construction workers, students, sit side by side at shared tables, united by their shared love of good, affordable food. It's democracy in action, a vibrant, noisy, and delicious counter-narrative to the city's sterile image. And it's here that you will hear the true language of Singapore. Not the crisp, good English, promoted by the government's official Speak Good English movement, but Singlish. As the original video rightly celebrated, Singlish is a rich, expressive, and wonderfully efficient Creole. It blends English grammar with the vocabulary and syntax of Mandarin, Hokkien, Malay, and Tamil. It's the language of chop, ing, a seat with a tissue packet, a uniquely Singaporean act of claiming territory. It's the use of particles like la, le, me, to add layers of nuance and emotion to a sentence. Can la is not just yes, it's a reassuring, confident. Of course it can be done. Go where lai is not just where are we going? It's a gentle, inquisitive suggestion. The government has had a long and complicated relationship with Singlish, often viewing it as a barrier to global communication. But for Singaporeans, it's a marker of identity, a secret code that instantly signals who belongs. The fact that words like kiasu and sabo, said to sabotage or prank someone, are now in the Oxford English Dictionary is a powerful validation of this unique, bottom-up cultural creation. So, Singapore is not a sterile utopia. It is a fortress garden, a pressure cooker of ambition, a social laboratory on a grand scale. It's a nation born from an impossible situation, built on pragmatism, control, and an unwavering belief in its own ability to engineer a better future. It is a place of profound contradictions, a fine city that embraces caning, a society of millionaires living in public housing, a culture that officially promotes perfect English while speaking a unique Creole in its heart. Its soul is not found in ancient ruins, but in the deliberate, daily act of forging a common identity from a world of differences. It's a testament to the idea that a nation is not just something you inherit. It is something you build, rule by rule, block by block, and meal by meal. What surprised you the most about the hidden layers of Singapore? Share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. If this story gave you a new perspective, share this video with a fellow traveler who loves to dig deeper. Subscribe for more in-depth journeys into the world's most fascinating places. We'll see you on the next exploration.